For Rik Emmett.
How are you doing? I am a little nervous. Not as bad as I was last night. How many of you were here last night? Well, I'll try not to repeat too many of my jokes. Yeah. So, those first two pieces you heard, the first one is called So Pushy. And it's just kind of like a 12 bars blues that, you know, got a little out of control. The second one is called Funky Scratchin', and it's, I think of it as a very sort of Toronto-centric kind of R&B thing. There were guys that were instrumental Telecaster players in the Toronto scene early in the day. Robbie Robertson played with Ronnie Hawkins, and he was a Tele guy. Yeah, sure. And then he went on tour with Bob Dylan, and he sort of turned Dylan into a Tele guy. Famously, when they were picking up their tellies in England, and some guy yelled, "Judas!" Dylan from Going Electric. But Robertson had also inspired a Toronto guy named Dominic Troiano, and Donnie was kind of more my age, guitar hero before guitar heroism had actually started. And, you know, he had a Tele, and it was like, he would soup it up over the years. And Teles were the things that you could afford. So what's going to happen here in the first set is I'm going to try and play 10 stories on this guitar, which I call Babs. And I've written a book about it. And, yeah, so I decided to sort of come out of retirement to play a couple of live shows. I was joking with Dave upstairs. I was saying, you know, I can do this maybe every 7 years. We can keep jacking the ticket price up. And he said, you don't want to be like Motley Crue. So, anyhow, yeah. So, what am I going to say now? Okay, so I have to sit down for most of this, and I'm hoping that Kathy already told you to, you know, shut the fuck up. Probably more politely than I just did. There we go. Yes. Thank you. That's your go. You know, he complains that I don't pay him as good as Kim Mitchell. So. Okay. You know what? Wait, hang on.
Kim who?
Yeah. All right. Is he here? That sounded like a joke he would make. Okay. So now I'm going to play you something. Okay, here's what happened to my life in the 7 years since the last time you saw me in public. We were renovating our house, and it was COVID, and it was weird, and it was. We were in an Airbnb barn in sort of downtown Burlytown. Those like the old estate houses and it was an old barn in the back that they souped up. And waiting for our house to get finished. And I got commissioned to write a bourrée, which is a type of from dance suites in the sort of 16th and the 17th into even 18th century. And this was a big thing in the courts of Europe, where you went and there were these formalized kinds of dances that occurred, and there would be a suite of things, and they would all have specific kinds of names and stuff. So in this particular instance, the bourrée that I had to do for the movie was because they had already edited the movie, and it was going into Sundance, and so then they figured, we'll probably have to pay to use the Jethro Tull bourrée song that we're using. And they found out how much that was going to cost to have to get the master and the publishing, because Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull had re-registered the publishing for that. Wasn't public domain. So anyways, they were scrambling at the last second, and Rick, you know, for a couple of $1,000, can you bail us out? So I had to write the bourrée in this, exactly the same tempo. Do you remember the, I think it was on the Stand Up album. It was like, da-da-dum, 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 da-da-dum. and it had this kind of swung thing, and it had like shots, boom, this kind of shit. So I had to hit those shots because that's the way they'd edited the thing. So I had to write this piece. I'm not going to play that for you now. And part of the reason is because I'm trying to keep all this solo. And the album that I did, I see some of you wearing the t-shirts, bless you. I wanted it to be just solo, just me and this guitar. And in fact, that beret, it had been, I put some chords down, but then I played guitar over top, and then I had a sort of bluesy Eric Clapton solo in the middle, and then we needed something to drive it. And so my friend Mike Schotten, in his studio, he's got like a leather thing that runs across in front of the board, and we put a microphone over the top, and he took brushes, and he just went like on the thing, and that was like this track. So I can't do it here because we don't have mic to do it. So, but I am going to play you 3 of the barn dance suite pieces. The first one is kind of a waltz, and so you kind of want to get that 3/4 feeling, in your bodies while I'm playing it. And I want you to be thinking about when you're like summertime, you're sitting beside a river and you're watching the river, the flowing of the current, and then the little eddies that form and things that float by. So that's the thinking behind, when I write now, I tend to be very poetic in the way that I approach things, and so there has to be kind of metaphors all the time, And so the metaphor for this is the swirling of the water, and it's called Swirling, and it goes something like this. Sorry, I'll keep that slow. I just don't have a microphone. You get their phone out, they go, "Fuck, he left a microphone." Can you turn the monitors down just a tiny bit, Parker? Just because I'm sitting so close. They're hurting me. Thank you very much. I got lost playing that 3 times. I don't know if any of you noticed. We got 2 cats. Well, my wife works at the local Burlington Humane Society place and volunteers there. And then recently, a year ago kind of, there was a thing where a mother cat, barn cat, got squished by a car, and they found the kittens in the wall of the barn, and so they need foster people so we fostered 5 kittens. And I was saying, I don't want a cat, I don't want a cat. Right? And then you 5 kittens, you fall in love, you know. And so they got to go back to get their shots and everything, and get fixed and all of that. And then we decided we were going to adopt 2 of them. So the largest one of the litter was a male, and it was blind. So we have a blind cat. And then the runt of the litter, the little girl, was she almost didn't make it. She had to have IV and bottle feeding and all of that. And anyways, she's now my baby. And when we go to bed, the blind one climbs up on my wife and goes right on her shoulder and then puts its face right beside her. And then the female, later, she comes and she climbs up and she comes right up and she sleeps like right against my chest, and I sleep on my side. But she likes to sort of get up and then turn and put her ass. And then sort of sit down. And I've noticed I'm starting to get allergies. And I guess some of you have noticed, I swear to God, I was not doing cocaine. I just have this itch, like when I get intense and I'm playing, then all of a sudden my nose starts to itch. Like a fucking cat. I'm not making any of this up. Okay, so now I'm going to play you a very formal kind of a piece, and you can get this later. There we go. So I want you to imagine the way they do line dancing now, right? Like, and what it's like. But back in the day, the do-si-do thing was these people in court society in Europe, they would get together, and it was kind of like mating ritual, really. This was how you were going to figure out whether or not this was the baron you were going to stoop, or the duke, or the duchess, or whatever. And there was this parading quality of these, sweet kind of dances. And so the one I'm going to play for you now is an Allemande, and it was very famous, France, Germany-ish. But they spread everywhere. They had them in England and Italy. But an Allemande is a very formal, it's in 4, and it has to have this kind of structure where you're going to be meeting this woman, and you're going to be, hardly touching, but you're going to be dancing around each other, and you're going to be curtsying and, bowing and all this kind of stuff. So, don't ask me why I go on these tangents, because I'm not sure. Once the bourrée thing happened, and then I did the, waltz, and then I'm going, oh, dances, yeah. And there's lots of them. I could have written a jig or anyways. So this is the one I came up with, and yeah. And it's German, so there's a strictness to this. By the way, I forgot to go to the right patch to start that last one. And then I was smiling. Parker is back there on the sound. So I was switching the patch on you. I'm sorry. This one I'm starting with the right patch. This is all very experimental. I haven't done this for 7 years. Okay, I feel a little cramped. Sorry. should have had a couple of stiff drinks. Thank you. Thank you. It's very gracious of you to cut me all the slack for that one. Anyhow, yeah, when I'm playing it, I try to think about, people doing these kinds of, it's like, the old expression, Allemande left, Allemande right. Well, Allemande started from literally these people doing these stately kinds of. Anyways, that's what's in my head when I'm playing shit like that. This is the last one of the barn dance suite, and it's called the Cowboy Gaucho Waltz. And when we were in the barn, we were sort of binging Yellowstone. So I had a lot of cowboy stuff going on in my head. And the music for that was really well done, and it was a nice mix of sort of Appalachian things and obviously country and western things, early American kinds of styles of music. And so I had that kind of going in my head, and when I start going on the guitar, and I will in a few minutes, you'll see it, and I get acrylic nails put on my hand so that when I flail, you can really hear it. it's got like a bite to it. And the technique is called rasguiado, and so what was happening as I was writing the piece was the Cowboys were slowly going down through Texas and across the border and into Central America, and then, oh geez, they're down in South America, and now they're all Gauchos. So the piece starts out cowboy and it ends up kind of Andalusian, So then that's kind of another way that my brain works. I just kind of, there's a tangent and I go, oh, I'm going to go there. It's usually left though. Oh. Anyhow, okay, so what else do you need to know about this? That's it. It's just going to I'm going to start beating the shit out of it in a while. When it starts, one of the things about chords, when folks learn to play guitar, you learn these chords in the first position, and they're commonly called cowboy chords because it's like it's simple, right? But I find cowboy chords to be kind of one of the most effective things on the guitar. They have nice open strings and they ring really nice and they sit really good. And if you're Bob Dylan, that's all you fucking use, So, and there's an awful lot of good songs that have just cowboy chords. So it starts with cowboy chords, and it's sitting around the campfire, but then in the end, the cowboy and the gaucho are fighting for turf. little carried away there. Okay, so when this collection of things began, I had a few ideas, like so Pushy, the one I played first, that was the first idea I had, and this was kind of close to the second. And I was enamored of the sound of sort of tremolo, vibrato, like, I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember when Jeff Beck had the Blow by Blow album, and it had, Max Middleton was playing on a Fender Rhodes piano, and it has this sound that's kind of like, it kind of waffles in a stereo way, right? And I'm enamored of the effect, and so I wanted to try and do something with this sound. So when I started playing, I had a couple of chords that were like, and once I was kind of jamming around on that little chord thing, I was going, this reminds me of like when I was a kid, in about grade 7 or 8, there was a song by Bobby Hebb called Sunny, and then there was a band that had Stormy, and there was another one too. But they were all 2 syllables started with S. And I started going like, I go, oh yeah, well I need 2 syllables starts with S. And then when I was playing it and developed it, I thought, it's, you know what it's like when that Slinky toy goes down the stairs, it has that kind of, and I go, okay, that's gonna be it. I'm gonna call it Slinky. So. Yes, thank you. Great. So my wife and I lived in Mississauga for 38 years. Raised our kids there, and then when they were all grown and gone, we moved to Burlington. Go west, young man. And Burlington is an interesting place. It's a kind of a music town because it has a long history of like the teen town marching band, and but it's got bars and clubs. There's a lot of country and blues, and it's a strong place for music education and stuff. And the thing about Burlington that I like too is that it's a waterfront town. It's got the Skyway and parks down by the lake, and I think of the town sort of as a rhythmic kind of. There's a rhythm to the place, and one of my favorite rhythms has always been reggae. Partly because it's a groove that sits in a place where it's sort of somewhere between spiritual and sexy, so that I sort of picture, the Rasta of Bob Marley and the high heel walking of Tina Turner, and as people promenade on the walkways in the parks in Burlington. And so anyway, I had this idea for a tune, and it's called Burlytown, and it's a reggae thing. And if you hear strains of things where you go, well, that sounds a little bit like Fight the Good Fight, or that sounds, that's true, because when you get to 71, you just steal from wherever the fuck you can find. So you steal stuff from yourself, and they call that style. So, yeah. So anyhow, this is Burlytown, and Fight was in D minor, this is in E minor. Spinal Tap said that D minor was the saddest of all keys, but I think E minor is the saddest of all keys. Anyhow, here we go. This is not sad by any means. It's kind of like, decide for yourselves. And I'm sitting down my scrawny ass. He used to be a fatter ass. Thank you. But now it seems like as my waist expands, my ass and my legs are getting skinnier. That's what happens, I guess. Okay, so my wife said I shouldn't talk about my health and I shouldn't talk about my age. She was here last night, and there's no better critic than the woman you've lived with for 49 years. Anyway, so here's the thing. I struggle with a challenge like this. Write these, invent this guitar, write a bunch of pieces, record a bunch of pieces, write a book, all this stuff. This is like, what did you do with your retirement? Well, this is what I did. And so then I feel like unless you go out and play live, like if I don't make the stuff happen here in the air between me and an audience, it hasn't really kind of gone all of the journey that it needs to go on in order to, I kind of need to start to make it be alive in the air somehow in order for it to Thank you. But then it's like, well, book a gig, okay, well, wait, when I recorded these things, I had the, joy of digital editing. And now I've got to learn them and to play them from A to Z without fucking up, and that's never going to happen. And then I know I have to sort of develop the stamina to play all 10 in one sitting. That's going to just be the first set. And I'm going, what have I done? Because the memory thing, it's not just a question of the physical, technical thing of playing. It's also like, what the fuck comes next? It's really hard, right? So, and the hardest of all is the quiet stuff, the peaceful things, to try and find that centered place, like the Allemande that I played earlier. That's a bitch for me, because I have to try and, the way I'm wired is rock and roll machine. And you go, no, come on, you gotta be calm and steady. And I go, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. So the next song I'm gonna play for you is calm and steady. It'd be a miracle if I can get through this. When I was in college, I had a teacher named Peter Harris, and he was a sort of a Lenny Bro disciple kind of guy, fingerstyle player, beautiful, incredible player. And the thing that we shared when I went and played my audition to try and get into Humber College, I played this. And so Peter goes, oh, you like bossa nova, samba, South America? I go, yeah, sure. Jobim, you like Jobim? I go, oh yeah, Jobim. And of course, that's education. It starts I did like a guy named Charlie Bird, and I know that name means, oh yeah? Some people know that name? Great. But Charlie, I can remember being a kid, fresh out of high school, or maybe still in my last year of high school, and sneaking into the Colonial Tavern on Yonge Street to see Charlie Bird playing on a nylon string guitar, and playing, I think, Girl from Ipanema. Anyhow, so I've always had a thing for that kind of stuff, and as I was writing, I had some ideas, and so this one came out now. So I want you to sort of imagine we're on a beach in Rio, and it's hot, and as you look into the distance, you can see the heat rising, and there's all of these, gorgeous people in very small bathing suits, and that's the vibe, and it's definitely Jobim kind of thing. So in the book, I say, I want you to imagine when you listen to the tune, my teacher, Peter Harris, Jobim, the girl from Ipanema, and you'll be in the right ballpark. So this is called Rio Glide. Okay, two to go, and then we can all take a little break. One of the things that I love about a guitar is that it can do so many kinds of styles, and I've sort of always been a kind of a indiscriminate, non-discriminating kind of player, and I liked to do lots of different styles. And, you know, I've had lots of folks in the music business tell me, stupid mistake, you know, like, that's not how you make a lot of money and become crazy, huge, successful. And I did want to, you know, become hugely successful, but not at the expense of being able to do some of the artistic things that I really, really wanted to do, you know? So, I mean, at a certain part in my life, I was a rock star and, getting platinum records and selling this many records. And then I went on my own, and then I decided, I think I want to have more jazz in the music that I make. It's a long, thin tail. But, when you're a musician, I think one of the greatest challenges on the planet Earth is to become conversant in jazz and to be good at it. And I don't think I am, and so I keep trying. But the piece I want to play for you now, inspired by guys like Joe Pass and that style of being able to work. There was a guy that I saw once named Marty Gross. And if you don't know who that is, do yourself a favor. It's kind of fun. Go on Google and try and find some of his videos. He's passed away now, but he was a guy that was a expert in the music of sort of the Depression and ragtime, and then in the 30s, he could just play these really cool things. And so I want to play this piece. It's partly Marty Gross, it's partly Joe Pass. It's Rik Emmett, just trying to figure out how he gets from A to Z. But it's called Whiz. It's in the key of G, and it's got a walking bass. And yeah, so this is for Marty. Taking a little top off. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's all so war that's going on, going, what's the next chord, what's the next chord, what's the next chord, and it's just going by so fast, I go, I don't know, just let your hands lead you. And then I'm like, no, just listen to the music that's coming out of the speakers, just listen to that. I'm like, no. Look, there's somebody looking at me. No. Yeah, so.
We love you, Rick.
You know, I love you too. I love the fact that, you know, you guys gave me a life of music.
Yeah.
How good is that? Okay, so, oh, come on, we're just kissing each other's asses.
Just like a cat.
He said, just like a cat. It's true. I swear to God, though, there's nothing like when you got a cat and it's purring, and you're stroking it, and it does that closes its eyes thing, and you just go, oh, come on, this is so great. I'm so relaxed. It's a long, long way from your licks where I'm going, I'm out of control. I can't. Okay, so this is a piece now that ends the tales, and it's sad. It's in E minor, the saddest of all keys. Lots of open strings, lots of harmonics. It's called the Winter Nocturne. Just calling it a nocturne. What can I tell you about this one? It sort of circles back. The first recorded guitar piece I ever did was in the song Blinding Light Show in a Triumph album. It was called Moonchild. And it was a piece that I'd written like when I was in college, before I'd even joined Triumph. But like we were so desperate for material. Blinding Light Show was sort of in the key of E minor. And then when we haven't got enough stuff for the album, we got to pad it out. Rick, could you do a classical guitar piece? I go, I have one in E minor. We could sort of have the songs stop, I could play the piece, and then we could have the song kick back in. They go, that's a great idea, let's do that. So that was the first piece I ever recorded. And it's going to show up a little in this when I play it for you. And I want you to sort of imagine winter cold, moonlit, when the snow is sort of kind of coming off the cedars and falling, and it has that sparkling crystal kind of quality to it, but you're really sad, you know. Like this is a piece about grieving, but trying to figure out how you come to terms with all of that stuff. So, and if you live to 71, you get a fair bit of that shit in your life. So, and I think music is one of the things that helps you cope with that stuff. So, I felt like the tales wouldn't be complete unless I had a piece that sort of tried for this kind of depth. And it's not hit parade stuff, but this is something that means a lot to me. So this is called